Welcome back to the Mountain Morning Show. I'm joined by our friend Travis McGhee from FuturesANIMal. How are you this morning?
I am fantastic. How are you?
I'm doing well. You don't look any worse for wear considering how much you've been out on the mountain, I'm told.
I'm a little sore, yeah.
Are you?
Yeah, I am. I'm not going to complain, though.
Yeah, that's
I think
awesome.
I skied a little too much this weekend. But
I don't know that there's such a thing.
No,
is there?
there's not. Well, my body's telling me I did. In my mind, I should have skied more. So, hey, but we're getting more snow this weekend. So,
that's right.
This week, I should
Well,
say.
and it gives you plenty of opportunity out there in that quiet time in the mountain to think.
Right.
Especially about investing. And it's something that many of us probably do, and then we don't follow through with it as retail investors. It's something that we do need to start wrapping our head around a little more, though.
Yeah, well, you get instances like we've had since the beginning of January, where, we came off a very good market. People got excited, and then all of a sudden the market falls apart for the month of January into February.
But you predicted it. We sat here and talked about that in December. I mean, remember, we talked very specifically about the fact that in the new year, it's going to be really rough, especially at the beginning. And we were right.
And then people get scared. Yeah. And then they say, well, I'll wait and see what happens, and then I'll get started later. Well, what happens is you get into this never-ending cycle of saying, well, I'll do it if, I'll do it if, I'll do it if. The problem is there's always going to be ifs. So sometimes you just have to get out there and do it. And the biggest question most people have is, well, where do I even get started? There's so many different options out there as far as what I can do, types of accounts I can open, what type of accounts right for me as an investor. And I think that's a great place to start when building out your plan, is figuring out what type of account you're going to open and what are the different benefits that are associated with different types of investment accounts. And we've heard all the names thrown around. You've heard about IRAs and Roth IRAs and joint accounts and individual accounts, so on and so forth. But what's the right account for you?
And a daunting task if you're trying to do it by yourself. Which
it is a daunting task. It takes a little bit of elbow grease. You have to sit down and you have to go through and do some research and some homework and see, what is fitting most for you. But in order to find the right account for you, you kind of have to have an understanding of what the end game is for yourself. Is it a long-term account? Is it a short-term account? Perhaps, are you going to need that money potentially sometime in the very near future? Are you able to lock it up over a long term without touching it, so on and so forth? Those are big questions you have to answer. Yeah,
and why I say it's a daunting task is if you're doing this by yourself, that's a considerable amount of homework. Let's just be honest. And who, doing homework, didn't have a better chance of doing well when they had a friend involved? That's just the best way to do it.
Well, definitely. Having a friend involved and having someone who has been there, who understands it, who deals with it every single day. So whether it's your financial advisor, whether it's your mom and dad, your grandparents, a good friend, whoever the case may be, someone who understands and can educate you on exactly what the accounts are.
Exactly. Educate you. A lot of your friends, you might think they can. You might want to think about what kind of friends you're carrying with when it comes to how you're managing your finances.
So just for example, a couple of the accounts that are available to the investor. One is very simply the individual account. So it's just like any bank account. You take money, you put it into an account in your name, and then you can trade stocks, bonds, so on and so forth inside of that account. And that account, any money that you make is either taxed at short-term or long-term gains. And you can take that money out as you please. Then there are accounts designed for tax benefits. And I know many folks have heard of 401ks, IRAs, the traditional and the Roth IRA.
We're deferring our tax to later.
Those are a little more complicated to wrap your head around. They're very simple in nature, but they're just a little more complicated, and each account is unique in and of its own way. So let's just take an IRA and a Roth IRA. So a traditional IRA is you are putting in pre-tax dollars into the account, so you're not getting taxed on the money that's going into the account. That money can grow over time, and then when you hit a certain age, you can withdraw that money, but it's going to be taxed at that point in time.
But at a better rate.
It's not going to be taxed at that point in time. So the Roth IRA is the exact opposite. So that money will be taxed when you eventually take it out at a later point in time. So understanding where you're going to be later down the road. Are you going to be in a higher tax bracket now? Are you going to be in a higher tax bracket later? Could be a big decision on whether you're going to go with a traditional or a Roth IRA.
So a little bit of speculation on what your life will be in 10, 15, 20 years.
Exactly.
But most people have a fairly good handle on that. That's not too far out.
Right. So it's just understanding some of the little things around those types of accounts help you in designing a plan for what your end game's going to be and setting yourself up for success, really. And, obviously success when it comes to taxes, but success when it comes to account growth, because it's a lot easier to let an account grow over time when you can't access that money.
Absolutely.
If you don't see it, you don't know it's there, you can't spend it.
That's a good point. All right. So what are some of our other choices? What maybe the next step up above the typical that we're used to?
Well, one thing that a lot of folks really don't put much thought around too is when children come into the picture.
Right.
And investing on behalf of your child or along with your child, and then you enter into a whole nother realm of account types just for children. So you have the UGMA and the UTMA, so Uniform Gift of Minors Act, Uniform Transfer of Minors Act, and those are accounts that you can open up for a minor. So your child, or if you're a guardian of someone, you can open up an account in their name.
Okay.
You're the custodian of that account until they become a certain age, but it's an investment account that eventually down the road they're going to have access to as their funds. So, a child that, a newborn, you're looking for that baptism gift, whatever the case may be, opening up an account in their name and getting started young. And then,
it's a huge deal when you consider, how interest works.
Oh, compounding interest.
Oh, my goodness.
And it's huge.
Setting them up for a really great life.
Well, setting them up financially, but also educating them along the way. And I know that's something that you and I talked about earlier in these segments, was getting your child involved at an early age and just understanding the basics of finance, understanding the basics of the stock market, of bonds, so on and so forth, and how money works. So it's just a great avenue to do that because they have a vested interest in that. Eventually, that will become their funds.
Money, eventually. So, that's awesome.
And there's a number of other different accounts similar to IRAs. There are tax benefit accounts for children too. Educational type plans that you can put money into and use that money tax-free down the road for college or for any expense associated with college. So
what a perfect way to put that, to make that possible. And of course, Utah has some really incredible opportunities for college funds too, as well.
Sure.
That you can put into. So some of the best 529s I think there are, isn't it?
Exactly, 529 plans. Exactly. So the bottom line is it's never too late to get started. Anybody can get started. I mean, you can start your children, you can start yourself. Even if you're later along in life, you can absolutely get started in the market. The bottom line is, don't necessarily be spooked by what happens on a day-to-day basis. Don't try and time the market. Don't say, well, market is, I know it's at an all-time high, or I know it's at an all. That's where people really get themselves into trouble. We're not market timers. If you have a plan, you stay consistent with your plan over a period of time, you're going to do just fine.
And as Warren Miller says, if you don't do it today, you'll just be one day older when you do.
Exactly.
That's awesome.
That's exactly right.
Travis McGhee, FuturesANIMal. Of course, there's lots of other instruments and different things that we can talk about. So next time maybe we can expand on that a little bit more and talk about some of the others.
Absolutely. And we February 22nd at Deer Valley, we're going to touch on some of those accounts as well, and different opportunities that exist in the market and how you can get started today.
What a great event that's going to be, February 29th at Deer Valley. And of course, it involves a little bit of investing and, as Travis likes to do, a little bit of skiing too.
Exactly.
There's a little bit of that towards the end of the
both.
day. So that's a good, again, a nice balanced portfolio right there.
Exactly. Balance. So
Travis McGhee, FuturesANIMal.
Thanks, Joe.
Thank you so very much. All right, we're going to be back with more right here on the Mountain Morning Show. We've got some athlete profiles for the Olympics as well as much, much more. It's all coming your way right now. We'll be right back.